Every generation has experienced changes, and some of those have been good while others not so much. Many of the things that we love doing every day somehow became outdated. As we look back on some of those things, we realize how much has really changed. In today's video, we will have a look back on some of the things that make Gen X seem old. The video rental store was a huge part of the 1980s and 1990s. People of all ages went in there, but sadly most of those are gone. But for those of us who got to experience the days of VHS, we will never forget the slogans that were on the VHS cassettes. Please be kind and rewind, or please remember to rewind. If we forgot to do that in some places, they would charge us a fee. Vending machines are still with us today, but what I don't see are the little ones that were in rows at the front of grocery stores. These had gum or candy, but they also had jewelry, stickers, and toys inside them. If you were a kid when these were around, then you would always be on the lookout to see what you could get for a penny, nickel, dime, or a quarter. People today worry about germs, but those in Gen X and before really did not. We used public telephones that were never cleaned. The mouthpieces smelled like someone else's breath or even cigarettes, but we still used them. But what you did do was inspect the earpiece before you placed it up to your ear. People loved pranking others by placing used chewing gum or something else that was gross on it. No matter what generation you're from, I'm sure that you loved listening to music. Back in the days of physically collecting media, it could get quite expensive. That's what made the music clubs like BMG and Columbia House so appealing. Where else could you get 8 to 12 albums for just a penny? The bad thing about those is that you had to buy 5 more albums at the full price plus shipping. Not only that, but they sent you an album a month that you may not even want, and then you had to return it. Overall, it wasn't really worth the hassle. Since we are on the topic of music, let's talk about the lyrics for a moment. We did not have the internet to look up what a song was saying, so half the time we were singing the wrong words or singing only the chorus. The only way around that was buying an album and looking at the liner for the printed lyrics. Then we felt like an idiot for singing the song wrong. However, there are still some songs that I prefer the lyrics that I made up versus what they had. When CDs and CD players became affordable, we were all blown away by the clarity. This may have been a move to make us buy the same album twice, but many of us did not. However, some of those CDs contained remixes of the ones that we loved, and that was usually where they got us. They would also mysteriously release new songs from a dead artist on CD. That one I never could quite figure out. With all of these new CDs starting to accumulate in our collection, we needed a cool place to store them. And because CDs seemed futuristic, we opted for the CD towers that came in funky shapes and designs. We wanted a statement piece for anyone visiting our house to check out our music. Before the internet came around, magazines were really popular. Magazine sections took up huge spaces in stores, and we could thumb through them before we purchased them. There was everything from cars, horses, music, gossip, and more. If you look at a magazine section today, it is small and the choices are somewhat limited. That's if you can even find one, and if you do, there are almost no people looking at them. Today, parents and kids carry cell phones for easy access to communication. It doesn't take anything at all to text or call each other. Not only that, but there are various tracking apps to let everyone know where you are at. But as a Gen Xer, you probably saw your parents leave the name and number of a friend's house they were at, or even the name of the restaurant they were going to. But you did not dare call. Someone better have their head cut off before you did. It was for emergencies only. It's hard to believe that writing at one time was important. As long as we had a pen, we could write on anything, and we did. We did not have cell phones to keep numbers in, so we wrote on napkins, hands, or whatever else when we wanted to give out our number or address to someone. For a Gen Xer, the radio and MTV were great places to hear the music that we wanted to listen to. Everyone would wait sometimes for hours in order to catch the newest premiere of someone we wanted to listen to. The wait time was a real struggle, and it certainly was not as instant as it is today. Getting the music you loved, no matter what you liked, was never easy. You had to work for it. At one time, postcards were a big deal. Sure, you can still buy them today, but it's not like it used to be. Long before people bragged about their vacation on Facebook, we sent postcards so that we could tell everyone how much we were enjoying ourselves. Today, that's really not much of a thing. Prior to having caller ID, it was a little more difficult to tell who was calling unless you had one of these. This answering machine was really great to have. You could see who was leaving the message, what it was about, and then decide whether or not you wanted to answer the phone. That's something that you can't exactly get out of the voicemail on your cell phone. If you were into Disney movies in the 80s and early 90s, then you understood how difficult or frustrating it could be. When they were released on VHS, you had to make sure that you bought it before it was locked away forever in the vault. At that point, it may be years before it was available to purchase, if ever. Having a map before GPS became so prevalent was essential. The problem with maps is that they were not updated as frequently, and they were not quite as detailed depending on which one you had. At some point, you were going to have to enter a nearby gas station and ask for directions. Sometimes it could be a real challenge to remember all the details. Have you tried to do that within recent years? You'll certainly get some blank stares from the gas station clerks. Another thing that we loved years ago were the commercials. We welcomed them during our television shows because it gave us an opportunity to run to the restroom or grab a snack and drink. But these old commercials were actually entertaining. Many of them had jingles or phrases that we could still say today without even thinking about them. How many commercials could you do that with today? The TV guide was everything to us. Each week we would thumb through those and check out what TV shows and movies were playing so that we could plan our week around it. Even if you were going to try and record it on your VCR, you still needed one of those. Getting our photos processed was exciting. When they were finally ready, we thumbed through them to make sure that they were ours and also to see how they came out. Half the time you would even forget what you had taken pictures of. That same excitement just isn't understood by kids today. Sadly, there are many kids today that really only think about money with debit cards. Some are even embarrassed to use actual cash and coins. But in our day, that was how the world worked, and debit cards weren't even a thing. You needed cash at fast food restaurants, gas stations, movie theaters, and really just about anywhere. Coins were needed in vending machines, parking meters, and payphones, so we really tried to keep a little of both on hand. Believe it or not, there was a time when we all enjoyed each other's company. We did not have our heads buried into our cell phones or AirPods stuck into our ears. We spoke to random strangers and kept each other company. Friends would randomly stop by the house just because they were in the area. For the most part, that has decreased. Whether you like it or not, times have changed. Kids today have trouble understanding why we did the things the way we did. But if you think about it, we said the same exact thing about the folks that were 30 or 40 years before us. Can you think of anything else that we missed? Or perhaps you have some special memories that you would like to share of growing up in Gen X. Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.